boys, it's time for our end of season awards. We're going to go straight into the big one, a buy of the year. Danksy, who have you got?
I have decided to go a little bit left of centre. I've gone with George Williams from the Canberra Raiders. Now, I know they were a grand final team last year with Aiden Caesar, but I think even they would admit they're probably not at the same form they were last year. And Williams has come in, has been excellent defensively. He's been a great foil for Jack White, and I think he's really brought out the best in him. And I think he probably, because he's in Canberra, really gets the plaudits that he deserves.
BB, what about you? Are you looking at someone like Williams, or has someone else caught your attention?
I quite like that Williams shout, but no, I've gone Api Coruscant out of the Panthers. He's a guy, he's just electric. He's always had that promise and always shown those glimpses of it, but to see him this year really put it together just game after game, and really not that he's transformed their attack, but he's just so dynamic out of dummy half. So Api Coruscant is my buy of the year.
And Ed, what about you? What camp are you leaning in at the moment?
I was definitely tempted by Appy, but I've actually gone with Regan and Campbell-Gillard. The main reason being, I think a big thing with RCG was a lot of people doubted that move to Parramatta, and just the fact that the Eels threw a four-year deal at him. After, he'd spent a fair bit of time in reserve grade at Penrith, a lot of people were questioning that deal. So I think given how bold it was and how it's worked out, I think for me, that's the buy of the year. RCG has been sort of the linchpin for Parramatta's aggressive go forward in the middle, and he's formed such a good partnership with Junior Paul. I really wouldn't be surprised if those two are the starting pair for New South Wales at the end of the year. But yeah, like he's had some massive games. There was a 6-week stretch in the middle of the season where he was running for over 200 metres a game, and yeah, I just think the way that's turned out, he has to be the buy of the year for me.
Do Penrith get some of the credit for that, considering they're still on for a fair whack of his salary?
Without a doubt, yeah. I think, Para could have thrown as many years as they wanted, as long as Penrith was still fronting some of the bill. It's worked out pretty well.
Safely the best moustache in the game too, potentially ever.
Yeah.
I know. You know what? I actually, now that I think about it, Brendan, I think you're possibly right with Coruscant. They had, what was it, Katoa, who was playing 9 for Penrith last year.
And Wade Egan as well.
Wade Egan, of course,
just eminently forgettable.
But that's
you could.
They are a different side now with Coruscant. He just directs them up that field with that amazing pack. I'm going to stand by Williams because I said it, but
I was going to say, I think the thing with Coruscant though is I feel like everyone kind of knew that was always going to work out. Like, I feel like it was kind of a pretty safe bet from Penrith. They know how Coruscant plays. He's played there before. He's always been up there among the best hookers in the game. So, it kind of made sense. Whereas the reason I think Campbell-Gillard's a good deal is because there was a lot of doubt behind that move. He was playing some terrible footy when Parramatta picked him up. So, yeah.
You're going the surprise factor.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Whereas I'm going, he's proving what he was worth and the pressure that he was under.
Guys, the next award we're going to look at is the Captain of the Year. Ed, who have you got?
I've gone with Clint Gutherson. Gutho just epitomises a skipper that leads on the field with his actions. He's been Parramatta's best player, if not one of the best players in every game they've played this year. He's always on the ball. He's dominating in a lot of the key attacking stat areas like run meters and line break assists, runs, try involvements. He's just been electric all year, and I think he's probably the best NRL's best captain as far as leading with your actions.
Danksy, NRL's best captain there, claims Ed. Who have you got? Have you got Gutherino as well?
No, I certainly won't. Every year until Cameron Smith decides to retire, he will be captain of the year. There is no player in the game that has a greater influence on the results. You see what the Storm are like. When he was away, he was out for like 2 rounds with a shoulder injury. I think it was like around 15, 16. They're a completely different side, even though they've still got a bunch of guns there. He completely dictates the speed of the game. The whole referee Smith, it's there for a reason because he has such an incredible influence. And I think that's what you look for in your captain.
BB, what about you? We've had Smith, we've had Gutherson. Who are you going for this year?
Yeah, this is my one where I've gone a little bit left of centre, and potentially a little bit of bias here, but I'm going Roger Tuivasa-Sheck as my captain of the year for 2020. We all know the sacrifices and the sort of hardships that the Warriors have had to go through this year, and especially around the time that Stephen Kearney was axed, that team could have seriously fallen apart. Like, it just could have got really messy. And credit to Todd Payton as well, but they actually turned it around and gave the finals a really good crack. And I think that does show really good leadership from within the squad, just to hold things together. And then, on field, I think he's most run meters in the league this year. The Warriors are a completely different side when he doesn't play, which is rare. So it's Roger for me this year.
I completely agree. I've got RTS written down as well. I think not only the fact of his on-field performances, but the fact that he's the only Warriors player who's been without his family this season as well, and the fact that he's continued putting in incredible performances on and off the field and just led that team formidably. I think it's a show of just how much the Warriors trust him and put their faith behind him. And if the reports are right that he's sort of guaranteed his future with the club, it's a massive bonus for them, especially going into this new Nathan Brown era starting in 2021.
If I may hit you with a stat, when the Daly M's went behind closed doors after round 12, so Roger was averaging 211 meters a game, as he does, 0 Daly M points.
Nothing, eh? Yeah.
I think maybe it's kind of one of those things now. I think Tedesco gets a little bit of it, although he did win, the award last year. People just expect 200 plus meters from him now. That's just like a good game.
And I think there are a lot of other guys that stepped up for the Warriors this year as well. Tohu Harris, massively underrated, underappreciated. A few other guys stepped up as well, probably taking a little bit of that burden off Roger as well.
Guys, what do you think of James Tarmo and the impact he's had on Penrith? Obviously, Penrith ladder leaders, minor premiers, but obviously he's not going to be at the club next year, but he's been a pretty formidable captain for them.
Really impressed with James Tarmo. Not just, I think he's more of like a follow me type of leader rather than he's not going to get in. He's not going to, get in the ref's face or try and assert his sort of dominance on the game like that. He's just a truck the ball under his arm and do what I do. Watch me lead by example type of leader. I've been really impressed by him. And I know there's been a bit of talk around, him leaving for the Tigers. I think it's a great pickup for the West Tigers.
He's certainly, I think you're right there, BB. He's a steady hand, especially with the Panthers. They're such a young side. They lack of a lot of experience. Whatever you think about Tarmo, he's played at every level of the game and he's excelled at every level of the game. He's been fantastic for them.
So the next award we're going to be looking at is the Coach of the Year. There's been a lot of strong contenders this season. Ed, who have you got?
I'm going to be quite boring and say Ivan Cleary. I think it goes without saying why he's been the best coach this season. A lot of people were tipping Penrith to not even make the finals. Some were even tipping them to get the wooden spoon, given how poor they were last season. So I think the way Ivan has just completely changed the culture there in the matter of 12 months and just turned that young team into a minor premiership outfit has been pretty remarkable. And I'd be very shocked if he doesn't win Coach of the Year at the Daly M Awards.
Well, BB, you think there's going to be a shock. Who do you think is going to grab the award?
Yeah, and not that it's particularly exciting either. And for much of the same reasons, Danksy went with Cam Smith for Captain of the Year. I'm going Craig Bellamy. The Storm have relocated as well, on the Sunshine Coast, but they've barely skipped a beat. They've had a couple of big name injuries throughout the year. They've had to adjust and change things, but somehow Craig Bellamy just seems to be able to get it right pretty much every time. For the whole season, I think that the best bit was Brandon Smith playing as prop and going really well. Like, it's just one of those brain waves that only a guy like Craig Bellamy could have. Finishing second on the table and coming to some good form as well. Craig Bellamy, Coach of the Year for me.
Danksy, bring us home. you've got a completely different pick as well. Who have you got?
Yeah, congratulations to Trent Robinson, Daly M Coach of the Year. Exclusively heard here first. My reasoning's actually not far from BB's there. Think of all the injuries that the Roosters have had. You speak to you've all been in Robbo's press conferences during the week, and he's just the most calm, collected guy about everything. Everyone there just keeps everything really insular. He's a huge part of that. There are never any leaks. You have like unheard of players stepping up every single week. I think he's more than deserving. I get that he's got a gun side, and so they have a little bit more depth, but also he's brought players in and still been able to maintain that incredible intensity that the Roosters have, especially defensively. So I think he should win. But if he doesn't, I hope it's Craig Bellamy because I want to see the Beetlejuice outfit again.
Yes.
Well,
got to come back.
Well, good to know, Danksy, after all the betting dramas last year, that you're already guaranteeing the Coach of the Year a good 5-6 weeks before the ceremony.
You heard it here first. I can't tell you
Huge bidding plunge.
One quick question I want to put to all of you. Todd Payton, interim coach, but is he any chance of picking up the award?
Zero.
I don't think he is. I think he's done a fantastic job. Like the Warriors are a completely reformed team. They look different. They're playing different. They're defending differently since he came on board. I don't think he's a chance of really winning that award. But yeah, what he's done is phenomenal. And yeah, he'll be going to North Queensland on some form for a coach.
I'll be very interested to see what we're saying in 12 months' time, considering Peyton's going to the Cowboys for all their dramas this year. They've still got a really good squad. I know they've got some holes, but where they're good, they're really, really good. He's an excellent man manager. He's in a one-team town where they can kind of go about their business a little bit much like the Warriors. So be interested to see if given a full season, that actually works out for him there.
I was really impressed. I've been really impressed. Like I say, he's a really good man manager. I think it was last week. The Warriors coming off a loss, and someone asked him in a presser, like, how do you rebound from that, or what do you do during the week? And he said, oh look, Wednesday we just completely took the day off footy. We watched some soccer, we watched some basketball. Just took our minds off it. Like, he's not. I know he's probably intense because he's an NRL coach, but he's not so sort of one-minded, singularly focused that, he can sort of mellow those things out.
Yeah, the players have said that a lot, that the reason his coaching is so powerful is that he just has so much trust in his players, and, he understands how important it is for them to have time away from the game, particularly this season where, they're all on top of each other in the bubble. He's been really good at sort of giving them space and allowing them to sort of do their own thing, but also focus on footy as well, having that balance. So he's definitely a really good man managing coach, which I think will do really well up in the Cowboys, because they've sort of had that Paul Green style, which is a bit more hard line, and it's yielded results. But I think that Payton system will be really good for the Cowboys next year.
Next award we're going to look at is always quite a coveted one that everyone has different opinions at, and that change a lot throughout the year. But Rookie of the Year. A lot of exciting rookies this year. And of course, there's been a couple of big name rookies that have garnered a lot of attention. Danksy, who are you looking at for Rookie of the Year?
Harry Grant even. I thought he'd missed more games than he has. He's played 16 games this year, same as Cameron Smith. He hasn't been out that long. Obviously, when voting went behind closed doors after round 12, he was leading by a point over Smith. Much the same as Smith's influence, like on the Storm. When Grant's not at West Tigers, they are diabolical. And this is a first-year player. I know Stephen Crichton's definitely scored more tries and is more of an attacking threat, but Grant's fantastic for a first-year player. I think maybe the only thing which is against him is the games he's played. You'd have to go back to someone like, what's his name? Like Sandow in, 2008? He only played like 14 games or 15 games, something stupid. That's the only thing which might stop him.
BB, what about you? Have you got a different name there?
I'm going Stephen Crichton this year. Just all the tries, 14 tries, I think it is. What do you go, like 8 games in a row scoring at least one try. And I know, you can, not necessarily hard to be good in a very, very good team, but like the level that he's playing at, even in a tabletop side, is just phenomenal. Like you would not pick that he's a rookie player this year. He played 4 games last year, but you wouldn't pick that he's only had about 20 games.
He's a dead set chance to be in Origin as well.
Yeah, 100%.
He's a bit of a sleeper there. Ed, what about you? Who are you rocking?
Yeah, I've sided with Danksy. Harry Grant, I think, is a bit of a no-brainer for me, just because he's in the race for the Daly M. So, I think he's assured of winning the Rookie of the Year. He's just so influential in the result. And as Chris said, the Tigers wouldn't even be near challenging for the finals a couple of weeks ago without Harry Grant in that team. It's just crazy that he's only played 16 games. He seems like he's been there for a couple of hundred. He's a very good player. I'd be shocked if he's not Queensland's number 9 this year.
I'm going to go a bit of a curveball for my Rookie of the Year pick. I'm going to look at Toby Rudolph at the Cronulla Sharks. He knew it. He knew it was coming a mile away. But just looking at some of his stats this year, he's played every single game, averages 131 metres a game, 47 post-contact metres a game, and 30 tackles a game. And most of those games have come off the bench. But obviously in recent weeks, he's forced his way into the starting side with injuries and obviously suspensions to the likes of Wade Graham. I think he's just been putting together an incredible season considering it's his first year in first grade. Obviously, he's had that ACL injury at the end of 2018 when he was playing up in Queensland. He's come to the Sharks, plied his trade with Newtown at the end of last season and forced his way into the first grade side. While I don't think he'll get the plaudits that Harry Grant and Stephen Crichton will because he's not involved with the tries and try assists. He only got his first try against the Warriors. I think he still had an incredible season. And 24 years old, first season in the league, I think it's been a pretty standout season from Toby Rudolph.
Second place medal. Just saying. Second place.
Also going to put in, just as a shout, as an aside, Jermaine Tonoa-Brown from the Warriors played every game this year in the front row. Just hard-nosed, tough, never takes a backward step, big body. I reckon he should be in the mix.
He's got a burgeoning rap career, hasn't he? He's a bit of a musician as well.
Yeah, bit of a side hobby there.
Daly Medal is as big as they get. There's a lot of names being thrown around. Obviously, Harry Grant was leading as we went into round 10. Ed, who's going to take out the award?
I've gone with Cameron Smith, which, it explains itself, really. Cameron, he's he's always Melbourne's best player, if not second best, on the field pretty much every game he plays this season. And he's just so influential in the result for Melbourne. I think sometimes the thing with Cameron is other players in the team take away his votes, but I just can't think of a player that's been as consistent as he has in that Storm outfit this year. Whereas, for example, like a Nathan Cleary, he'll be in the race for sure, but there's just been so many other Penrith players that could have taken votes away from him this year. So, yeah, I think Cameron Smith's been a standout in that Melbourne team who have been ultra successful this year. And I think he'll probably get there this year.
BB,
what about you? Who are you looking at for the Daly Medal?
It's Nathan Cleary for me. Even with the suspension and his misdemeanor at the start of the year in the COVID break, he's been phenomenal. The way he's just taken over that side this year, particularly with James Maloney leaving, he's just taken the reins. But it's not, it's not all on him either. Like he's got Jerome Luai there, but they complement each other really well. Appy as well. But for me, I see where you're coming from with Cameron Smith, but it's Nathan Cleary for me.
Danksy, who's your man this year?
I'm going to repeat exactly what Ed said in different words. The reason why I would only go Cameron Smith over Cleary is so Cleary's starting on 5 points in round 13, but then he's also splitting points with Coruscant, with Luai, Dylan Edwards, in round 18 where he ran for 7,000 metres. when you go with the Storm, they've pretty much got Papenhausen, who's the guy who you're probably going to be in the points every week. You had Harry Grant, and you had Cameron Smith after round 12. They're the only guys who polled in 6 games. So he's just there about every single week. If you want to look at round 18 when he absolutely destroyed the Cows, I think it'll be his 3rd Daly M, equal with Joey, one behind JT.
I'm going to veer off a bit of a different tack to you guys. I think if the Eels had continued their good form, I think Gutho could have been with a real chance, but their sort of drop off in the last 5-6 weeks might have just cost him, even though his performances have been good. But for me, I think it's going to go to last year's Clive Churchill medalist and going to go down to the Green Machine with Jack Whiten. There is a bit of a concern in terms of other Raiders players potentially taking points off him, with the likes of Josh Papali, Elliot Whitehead. They've all had really good seasons. But I just think in the last sort of half of the season, that when the Canberra Raiders have been playing well, it's off the back of Jack Whiten. And I think he's definitely going to be polling votes in most of those games, especially the ones that they win. I mean, going into the before closed doors voting, he was only 3 points off. He had 10 points already. So he was there or thereabouts. So I think there's a real chance that if he comes home strong, which he really has, he's been setting up tries, he's been scoring tries, I think he could potentially grab the Daly Medal this year.
I don't reckon that's as left field choice as you may think. That's good.
Yeah.
Also, the thing about Whiten is that, all right, so he was on 10 after round 12, but George Williams was on 8, and neither of them scored points in the same match. Those entire first 12 matches, they never polled in the same game. And Whiten's definitely been better in the second half. I think he'll be there or thereabouts. Excellent shout.
Once voting went behind closed doors in round 12, the only real Raiders player that sort of stood out in that time who may have taken votes away from Whiten is Josh Papali.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely right, Lockie. I feel like Jack Whiten will have polled some serious votes through the back end of this year. Canberra's been a bit of a sleeper in the competition. Like, I feel like a lot of people have kind of forgotten that they're there, so focused on the Roosters, the Storm and the Panthers. But I think the Raiders have been a really, really good team all year consistently, and Whiten's been a massive part of that. So yeah, you could be right there.
Has anyone got any smokies that they think could maybe fly under the radar and get close to the gong this year?
Luke Keary.
Yeah.
Not Luke Keary. No, he hasn't played enough games.
Yeah. Yeah, he was out for like 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it'll. I think it'll be much the same as it is with most years. There'll be 1 or 2 you'll have. I think Cleary will definitely be close. I think Cameron Smith will be close because he's winning. And then maybe one more other, maybe Whiten or someone like that. But I don't see anyone super random coming out of nowhere. There won't be like a Jared Hayne 2009 run where he just comes from absolutely nowhere.
One person I think could potentially really be smoky, this is true smoky, is a man Bebe mentioned earlier, Tohu Harris. I think the Warriors have obviously had a pretty good run in the second half of the season, and he and RTS have been, I guess, the fire starters for that. He had 6 points before it went behind closed doors, so he only needs a few to sort of get up near the top of that leaderboard, and I think he's definitely had some man of the match performances in the last sort of second half of the season, so he's someone I reckon could maybe be a bit of a smoky if that's what you're looking for. Guys, 2020 has been a very different season. Lots of rule changes, lots of modifications to make sure the NRL got up and running again this year. BB, what was your favourite change about this year?
My favourite change, and I think the one that should stick around next year and into the future, is a standalone origin period. Every year, we speak about it every year. The level of NRL just dips like crazy, where during origin, when the best players are out, I think everyone's got an example of like a rainy Thursday night or Friday night game with a handful of reserve players. And yeah, it's great for those guys to get some NRL action, but the standard and the level of football just goes down every year. Plus, I'd also, on the flip side of that, I'd like to see an origin game every week over 3 weeks. I reckon, yeah, it's more intense. It's even next level. Standalone origins.
Just a war of attrition for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, bring it on.
Danksy, what about you? What's your favourite change of the year?
I absolutely love the captain's challenge. I love everything about it. And I think it's the greatest rule since they put in 6 tackles. It genuinely is. It is the ultimate trust fall. Like, that's what you have in office kind of bonding things. You have that in the NRL now when a front rower or some winger who's absolutely gassed and just wants a break. It's like, no, like, check it. Definitely check it. Challenge it. And they're always wrong. I thought, so there's been over 200 so far, right? I thought the success rate would be something around like 20, 25%, something super low. Because I watch a lot of Sharks games and they get them all wrong. But it's at 42%. There's over almost 100 calls there, which would have gone, under the radar. People have been blowing up about them, but players had the chance to challenge it. The call was reversed. I think it's fantastic, and it doesn't take too long to do.
Ed, what about you? What changes are you enjoying this year? What have you enjoyed?
I'm like Danksy, I've really enjoyed the captain's challenge, but I've gone with a bit more of an unheralded rule change here. The new scrum rule, where a team can pick where on the field they have the scrum. I reckon that's been awesome. It's sort of allowed teams to, or it's sort of seen tries off scrums resurface in a way. It was a bit of a dying art in the NRL, but it's definitely become, a massive play this year. And I just love seeing those big sweeping plays off the scrum where a team sort of goes from right to left and scores off that one play, or even a kick off the scrum. Like, I think it's sort of forced teams to become a bit more creative with that play. So I reckon it's been awesome. Hopefully they keep it on for next year.
You'd think they'd have to. Before we finish up, I want to get a quick 1-sentence review of the 2 following rules. Firstly, Danksy, I want to go to you. The set restart. What have you made of it this year?
Love it. / I'm loving it if McDonald's wants to sponsor this.
Brendan?
Yeah, love it. Into it. More of it. Keep it.
Ed, are you the same? All for the set restart?
Yeah, play on.
And then we'll go back the other way. Straight back to you, Ed. 1 referee. What have you made of it this year?
Yeah, awesome. I reckon they should definitely keep it. It's taken out the confusion for players and fans. The game's just being more free-flowing with the set restart rule as well. So, yeah, I love it.
Brendan, you the same?
Love it. It was 1 ref or standalone origin as my rule to keep, and I went standalone origin, but I absolutely love 1 ref. Stick with it.
Danksy, you as well?
Yeah, I've hardly noticed the difference. I love it. Can't get enough. I think it's, all these different rules now, which are all contributing, but 1 ref's been pretty awesome.
Well, I want to give an honorary shout out to the 2040, the rule change that a lot of people were excited about, but not one has been kicked this year. Maybe next year, who knows? Maybe they'll remember the rule. I just think that people have forgotten about it. But yeah, that's where we're going to leave it off. They're our main awards for the 2020 NRL season. Be sure to head to Sporting News' website for all your rugby league content as we head into the finals, and make sure to hit up our social channels for even more rugby league content.